All right. Hello, everyone. I am Troy Parkins, and I'm here with
Janna Troy, your friendly hypnotherapist.
and I love it. We are connected on the, I guess, whatever the third eye realm is, because look, we are wearing the same color, and I love your shirt. I
My
love that.
shirt. Yeah, I was out sailing and I didn't have a chance to change. So everyone is stuck with the fact that I really like sharks. Okay?
Okay. I like sharks too, especially sharks on a poker table if that shark happens to be me.
That's right.
Today
We'll
we
start
have
calling you Jaws.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my jaw was a little stiff, but wait until we have our sound effects machine. Then I would do a drum roll with a tambourine, ching,
Yes.
with that. We're going to be adding to our production quality insanely because, HypnoTalk every Sunday, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. It's a must see. What was that back in the days at NBC or CBS? Much see TV or much watch? I don't remember.
Yeah, something to that effect. But
It
in the
is.
meantime, with the sound effects, we'll just have to go something like da 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 da.
Yeah, yeah. Natural. I like
Add
it.
our own sound effects. Fake it till you make it.
It's great. And we are coming up on Clubhouse May 8th. That's this upcoming Saturday. May 8th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
It's our first room. HypnoTalk comes to Clubhouse. If you have an iPhone, they're testing on Droids, but if you have an iPhone, hit us up. If you're not on Clubhouse, we will send you an invite so you can join next Saturday.
Yeah, all you have to do is go to the App Store, download Clubhouse. It's a dude with a little Clubhouse cap, a little black and white cartoony dude. And if you need to, I've got quite a few invites there that I can send you, and that links you right into it. Yeah, we're gonna have so much fun.
Absolutely. So definitely,
it's free coaching, it's free therapy. Whether you participate or whether you just listen in, we want to see you. And you hear you. It's an audio thing.
Yes. You have the opportunity to come into the room and ask questions. You get to talk to our friendly hypnotherapist one-on-one, which there really is not much opportunity to do that. People text me questions. We had a couple of questions last week, and people, you can leave stuff in the comments down below on YouTube. But this is an excellent opportunity to talk to Janna. I'm going to say in person, but as close to in person as you can get.
Yeah. When we've had questions, it's great. Troy will, on this platform, read me the question, but I can't actually ask more questions, more clarifying questions. And this way we'll be able to really get to the meat of the issue.
Absolutely. And so join us on Clubhouse. Also, give our friendly hypnotherapist an Instagram follow, Janna Troy, hypnotherapist. Okay? So, yeah, you do a lot of great Instagram shorts. I love them. Very good 2 minutes of wisdom. I don't miss a single one of those.
Aw.
Great. They're great. They're phenomenal. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. I do hear about this in my travels. Okay. People ask me, oh, Janna sounds really cool, but, how do I know who's a good hypnotherapist? Now, obviously, Janna knows a lot about what she's talking about. It sounds like it, but do hypnotherapists have certifications? They ask me. They say, how do I drive? How do I know X, Y, Z? So we're going to delve into that today, okay? So, for example, I used to run a digital marketing agency, and I coined the term that some agencies out there would do digital malpractice, which was they would not serve the best interest of their clients. They wouldn't sometimes not even know what they were supposed to do on Google AdWords or social media or directories or anything like that. So I coined that term. And I don't know how it is in the hypnotherapy world. I get to learn as well. But I want to ask you, Janna, how can people know who's good and who's just these crackerjack box hypnotherapists? Because you got to avoid them.
Yeah. You know, at first when you wanted to talk about this, I had an immediate thing of I don't ever want to put any well-intentioned, big-hearted, warm-loving therapist down and refer to them as a crackerjack, because I think anybody who gets into this type of profession has at least some desire to help others or to be in service to other people or to make a difference in whatever way that they can. Now, that being said, about 20% of my practice is undoing bad hypnotherapy that somebody else did. And by bad hypnotherapy, I mean the person who was the other hypnotherapist may have learned some hypnotic inductions, but they weren't quite clear on what you can and can't do and what you can and can't say to a person while they're under hypnosis to have the maximum benefit or effect. For example, a stage hypnotist may have gone to some sort of a course where they learned quick hypnotic inductions. Those quick hypnotic inductions may work on a small percentage of the population, people who are incredibly hypersuggestible. And I've had clients who have been up on a stage. I remember one client who had been on a cruise, and she had participated in one of those really fun stage hypnosis shows. And at the end of it, he said to her, well, since I've got you under hypnosis, the hypnotist goes, are there any bad habits you'd like to get rid of? And she said, yeah. She goes, I chew too much gum. So he goes, okay. And he said, every time you put gum in your mouth, it'll make you sick. Well, it had been several years and she felt nauseated even at the checkout stand at the grocery store as she passed the gum and smelled it.
Oh.
And she never meant I never want to chew gum again. She just meant I want to chew less gum. And she was at a point where she couldn't chew gum at all, so we had to pull that suggestion out and redo that. And I had another client. I'm going to be careful not to make sure. I don't even want to say if they're male or female because I would hate to share anything that was personal. But I believe the client had had a different type of hypnotherapy called EMDR, which is electromagnetic rapid eye somewhat ever thing. It's not touted as hypnotherapy. It's touted as behavior modification, but it's hypnosis. And it was to desensitize her from being upset, from being, I don't know if it was sad, if it was a past trauma. I have no idea what it was about, or if it was anxiety, but they used this behavior modification technique to keep this person from being sad or anxious. And she came to me because she hadn't experienced any emotions at all after that therapy. She was completely just numbed out.
Wow, that's incredible that something like that could happen. I have heard of EMDR. That's
Well,
incredible, though.
I'm not, the funniest thing is I just referred someone to EMDR for something else. I think for the right type of therapy, it's fine. But hypnotherapists, if you just take people who have gone to study hypnotherapy, there's a really broad range of hours of where they went to practice. What you want to ask, if you want to make sure that the person is qualified, that they not only understand how to hypnotize everybody, because everybody can be hypnotized, and you want to make sure that you are hypnotized, but you want to make sure that they understand what to say to you when you're under hypnosis so that there's no harm done. Now, nobody would ever do harm on purpose, I don't think. That stage hypnotist didn't mean to cause harm to the gum chewing person, right? Nobody means that. That stage hypnotist meant well. but we want to make sure that there is no harm done. So you want to be asking them questions like, how long have you been practicing? Where did you go to school? What type of a course was it? Tell me more about that. And if they say, oh, I learned from this really great teacher named, Joe Schmo, it's a no. One individual is not qualified to teach a whole course on hypnotherapy. You want to make sure that they've gone to a nationally accredited college.
So we just got a question on this.
Okay.
Somebody asked, do you have a certification, or is there something you can look at for a certification?
Yes. Now I'm partial to HMI College of Hypnotherapy graduates, and you can look the hypnotherapist up if you go to hypnosis.edu. That takes you to HMI's website, and the hypnotherapist will be listed there in the directory on HMI's website. Or they will be able to answer, is this person a graduate of HMI? There are, and I don't know the names of them, there are one or two, perhaps one, maybe another college on the East Coast. HMI is on the West Coast in California and Tarzana. There is another college, I believe, that's a nationally accredited college, but I'm not sure. Most hypnotherapy credentials are given by fly-by-night, crackerjack box individuals.
Okay.
It's not as regulated as psychotherapy is. Okay, so you have to ask. You want to make sure that that person understands when to refer you to a licensed psychotherapist, because there are situations where hypnosis could make things worse. Okay, you need to make sure that the person has a thorough knowledge of the ethics and the counseling that goes into it. There are many, 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 many people who say that they are hypnotherapists who have gone through an NLP program, neuro-linguistic programming course. As a part of NLP, there is some hypnotherapy that they teach, but it's quick inductions. I think when I did NLP, the hypnosis portion of it took a very short period of time. It was nothing that would be sufficient, yet a person can consider themselves a hypnotherapist just from that, just from having a weekend or 2 weekends or 3 weekends of hypnosis.
So is that common? Is that common that people would take an NLP course, get a dose of hypnosis, and then say that they're qualified hypnotherapists? Is that a common thing?
Yes, it's not unethical either, but it's just that there's a big difference between who you should let into your subconscious mind when you're in a vulnerable state and who you shouldn't. Now, I also have an NLP certification, but I consider that a very small thing compared to the hypnotherapy certification that I have. So the hypnotherapy certification that I have was a course that was taught by multiple instructors over an incredibly long length of time, that had a long residency with clinical hours and mentorship and ethics courses and so on and so forth. So you want to make sure that somebody has had more than just a few weekends, that it's in the same way you wouldn't go to a surgeon with dirty hands who would open up your physical body and introduce germs in. You wouldn't go to a hypnotherapist that didn't know what they were doing and introduce unwanted or exacerbate unwanted emotions inadvertently. Of course, nobody would do that on purpose, but it happens all the time.
They don't know. They don't know any better.
Hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to get this in because I also do spiritual hypnosis. But again, it's under the umbrella of hypnotherapist that comes from a broader scope of learning. And so underneath that, we can have all kinds of different modalities. We can do all sorts of things. I've got an NLP certification too, but it's under the bigger umbrella of being a hypnotherapist first. So a lot of spiritual teachers, psychic mediums, people who are into helping others awaken. Now, these are wonderful things. I do that too. I've taken those courses also. They can also do hypnosis, hypnotherapy. A lot of them have learned hypnosis or hypnotherapy to help people reach altered states for the purpose of helping people reach altered states. But again, would I go to somebody like that and allow them to hypnotize me if that's all they had? Because again, we're looking at a very small portion of someone learning hypnotic inductions, then maybe perhaps being sensitive or being a channel or being a psychic. But is that enough to let me go to them and open my brain the way and do they have a neurological understanding of how each individual is different, how people hear things differently, how to avoid certain phrasings and embrace others based on what you want to enhance rather than get, you can accidentally talk about, for example, an unqualified, untrained person might say, so I really hate that you're so afraid. You don't want to be afraid anymore. We're going to get rid of that fear. And how many times did I just say afraid and fear?
You're reinforcing.
Yeah.
Afraid, fear, afraid.
That fear is really bad. That fear isn't good for you. We got to pull out that fear. You shouldn't be afraid. Let's get rid of the fear. And the person is in hypnosis and they're like, yeah, this fear sucks. I want to get rid of it. The fear sucks. They're thinking that in hypnosis by focusing on the fear. You never even mention fear or being afraid when someone is in hypnosis, but an untrained person wouldn't know that. And this is just one thing.
Seems that we could peel the onion very, very far on this one.
Yeah.
And you did mention some stuff that, in terms of what it is, that could be a whole show in itself. However, we are talking about these hypnotherapists that may not be trained well enough to be able to be successful on a person. Now, you mentioned something very interesting to me. You said 20% of your clients that you're working on, I guess you're creating a unbotched. They got botched, and you're creating an unbotched mind. So, can you talk through that? How difficult is it to unbotch some type of hypnosis that these people have gone under?
In a broad general, because everybody's different and everybody's mind interprets information differently. Everybody's suggestibility is different. Okay, in general, in broad terms, it's not difficult at all to unbotch something and to pull that out. It's easier than you would think, but it is an individualized thing. I mean, when I'm sitting with someone and I'm speaking to them, anyone who goes to a hypnotherapist, if they say, okay, we need to test your suggestibility, that's a good sign. Chances are, if they're asking you about testing if they run you through a variety of tests the first time you come in, that's good. That means they understand that not everybody is the same, right? So they're not going to hypnotize you the same way they would hypnotize your friend, because you guys are different. Okay. The other thing to look for is if they say, if the hypnotherapist assumes that not everyone can be hypnotized and that you may not go under, run. They don't know what they're talking about. They've gone to one of these podunk weekend things that they don't have an idea of how people go into hypnosis. So they think some people do and some people don't. They'll think some people are easier and some people are harder. Everybody is easy to hypnotize, even if they think they're not, even if a different hypnotist has not been successful. Everybody is easy to hypnotize. It's just that not all hypnotherapists know the right techniques to match that person's suggestibility. That's all. That's all. So when you're asking questions, if you're hearing that they don't run suggestibility tests, or if you're hearing that they want to wait and see. You know, I've had people come in saying, oh, I've seen a hypnotherapist before, but he tried 3 times and I just didn't go under.
That's showing that he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. Right.
Got it. So those two things are really important. It sounds like the whole idea that they're going to run you through some tests to begin with, because everyone's individual. And if they have this story that, oh, you can't be hypnotized, then there's something else going on.
Some people can, some people can. And they come by those stories honestly because their mentors, whoever did train them, believe that too. So they're just repeating what they were trained. When I went to hypnotherapy school, we had a whole bunch of expat people from other who had been trained by other hypnotherapists, and realized that their old training was so bad compared to the training they were getting now. No. And I have zero affiliation with HMI College of Hypnotherapy other than I'm a graduate. So I don't get any money or any perks or any discounts on anything by telling people to make sure it's an HMI graduate. I just know that people need to make sure it's an HMI graduate. And I'm just going to tell you that up front. And a lot of people are HMI graduates. They've been around since 1968. They've been in the same location. They have a variety of teachers and mentors, and it's a very ordered curriculum. Okay. It's not just how to do hypnotic inductions. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot of counseling and interviewing. The subspecialties are immense, whether people want to become hypnotherapists to quit smoking or weight loss or fear or pain management or childbirth or even past life regression therapists. There's a subspecialty of that. But there's business practices. There's a lot of ethics. And I would, in as much as ethics courses aren't any fun, they're kind of dull. You got to have an ethical hypnotherapist. So they better know the ethics behind what they're doing.
So let's talk through that a bit. You did. We talked a bit before the show. We were talking through ethics, and there is some ethics in terms of relationships, and so if you could just talk through that, what can people expect from their hypnotherapist when it comes to ethics?
When it comes to ethics, you want to make sure that your hypnotherapist isn't going to blab all about you. when they leave their office, so they're now by law, hypnotherapists can blab. We are not psychotherapists, so we're not bound by the same licensing rules. In other words, we couldn't get
legalities
penalized for blabbing. But ethically speaking, we better be following those guidelines because it's not cool. And we're talking about doing a clubhouse room together, Troy, and I've been on Clubhouse and heard people who claim to be life coaches and therapists and that sort of thing, hypnotherapists, talk about their clients by name.
Oh my
and talk
God.
Or talk about them in something other than a vague generality. Like I just talked about my gum chewer, but we don't know who that. I mean, how many? It's one in how many tens of millions of people that chew gum, right? So like
super vague, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What happens in the hypnotherapy room stays in the hypnotherapy room.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I've heard the same kind of stuff on Clubhouse as well, which is why we are forming our own Clubhouse to provide real value add in this space. So again, this upcoming Saturday, May 8th, 11 o'clock Pacific.
Yep.
So going back to ethics.
Okay.
I find this very interesting that would somebody expect to sign some paperwork when they come in to see a hypnotherapist?
Yes. Yes, a disclosure of services, absolutely. And back to ethics, for example, pain management is one of the best ways hypnotherapy is used. Someone that has some sort of a chronic pain condition, but ethically speaking, if a client came in to see a hypnotherapist and said, I've been suffering with migraines for years, help me get rid of my migraine. Chances are a hypnotherapist could do that. What happens 2 weeks down the road when that person falls dead from a brain tumor? And the hypnotherapist didn't make sure that that client first brought in a medical referral, that they had been checked out by a doctor to make sure that they were safe to work with. So ethically speaking, if you didn't know that, if a hypnotherapist didn't know about that, they might just say, oh, this person has a stomach ache because they're holding on to a lot of anger, and I can help them get rid of their anger, and then blah 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 blah, it'll all be better. And then the person dies of a bleeding ulcer the following month. Well, yeah, maybe the ulcer might have, it's argued that it could have been caused by anger, but you need a medical referral. Right?
Sounds like that's very important.
Yeah.
Very important. And that could be, in addition to, testing suggestibility and what they say, that could be one of the additions for a person. If we're talking tools to look for, if they don't ask you about your medical history, that red flag should go up the pole.
Yeah. And same thing with someone who perhaps is more than 20 pounds overweight. We hypnotherapists can work with you, but we need to make sure that there's not some other underlying cause. So it just requires a sign up. Now, most MDs are really happy to send their clients to a hypnotherapist. So I've never had a situation where a doctor has said, I'm not going to sign this piece of paper. It's not a big deal, but we want to make sure, we want to work in conjunction with other professionals if we need to. So what would a hypnotherapist do if some client was suicidal? Well, if you went to a weekend seminar on hypnosis, are you qualified to help that person? No. I went to a huge college. I'm not qualified to do that either. But I do know what to do if someone is in my office and they're suicidal. I know who to call. I know how to help that person. I know how to get them the help they need. And so ethically, we need to know what are the rules, right? We can help people come off of alcohol, but we need to make sure they're also in a 12-step program. So there's ethical reasons behind all of this that it would take a whole ethics course to go through. And if it's not followed, it can have some pretty drastic circumstances, as pretty drastic results.
Like a person dying, for example. I think that's as drastic as you can get.
And for the hypnotherapist or I worry about some of these spiritual hypnotherapists because do they carry liability insurance? Are they a member of a union? Do they have the backing of their union? What's going to happen to them when someone sues them?
See, again, I would be scared to death if I took some weekend class and I'm going to decide to be a hypnotherapist and start spouting off about it because of exactly what you said. And we did talk a bit about this on the business side of things.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So if somebody doesn't really care about that, about, oh, what if I get sued or not, the other ethical stuff and health, how that's related to a patient's health, that's pretty important. And if they're disregarding something as big as the business side, they're likely discarding the ethics side or covering the basis side.
And it's more that they just don't understand. So if you are suffering, say, from anxiety, as a hypnotherapist, I can see you, But if it's been a diagnosed anxiety disorder, I need to see you with the permission of your therapist. And
Yeah.
there's nothing more fabulous than a team of people working together on your behalf, helping you in very different ways to achieve a positive result. But we need to work together in certain circumstances. Like I am personally, and I hate to toot my own horn, but I'm going
Please
to.
do. Please toot your
I am
horn. Toot away.
fantastic with people with psychotic disorders, schizophrenics, that sort of thing. I personally kick ass with that stuff. I've had some of my biggest wins with that sort of thing. And
That's
that's a psych referral situation also. So it's a team approach.
sure.
You know, if we get into that kind of thing alone, not only are we as a therapist very open to a can of worms we don't want to be open to, but the bigger deal is we could do harm and we want to do no harm. And I know, and the same thing with medical referrals. Any sort of a medical condition, something that could be a medical condition, we want to work with a physician. And I don't know if for weight loss, for example, someone's 100 pounds overweight, there are no doctors that I've ever met that haven't been overjoyed when you go to them and say, will you sign my piece of paper so that I can get hypnotized for weight loss? The doctor's like, yes, please.
They're like, yes.
They're thrilled. They're thrilled. They're so proud of you. So it's not that it's a problem. It's not that we can't treat people or help people that have a medical or a psychological issue, but we do ethically need to work together. And you can see that that's for the client's best interest. Just to make sure that they're okay, that they're sound.
Yeah. And we love to provide tips and tools. And you've provided some really good ones today. And I'm actually, I put this down below. So we'll check out our ticker down there. Hypnosis.edu. Pretty
Yes.
easy to remember. And
Yes.
yeah, I get it. You know, you're not getting paid by the HMI. You just care. What can
I just
expect?
care. And George Kappas should be so happy with me. I want him to put my picture on the wall in the hall.
He should. Okay, so speaking of a tool, if someone goes to this website and they want to look up what would you recommend they do when they go to this website?
Look around. You can look up, they now haven't been on their new website, but I know that there's a section where you can find a hypnotherapist. You can go on there and find a hypnotherapist. I'm an HMI grad. I don't even know if I'm still on there, if they've kept up with it, but you can look and there's a bio of people, but anyone that's on their website is a graduate of their school. Okay. And and we all specialize in different things. No two of us grads are alike. So the other thing they can do is look through there and see what the person's specialty is. Yeah, I've had a number of clients over the years who have been so excited about this whole process of hypnosis, and they've received so much value from it that they have asked me, you know, I want to be a hypnotherapist, and I have sent many people to HMI to become hypnotherapists. It's not cheap, but it's good. And I trust that process, and you're set up to actually have that support, that education that's thorough enough that you can go out into business and actually help people in a way that you have the command of what you're doing.
This is amazing. Not only did you just provide a tool for people who are seeking hypnosis, in case you out there want to be a hypnotherapist, Janna has given you a tool to follow that path as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, seriously, I've had people ask me, Janna, could you teach me to be a hypnotherapist? And the answer to that is yes, but I won't. For the exact reason that I just said. That's the
Absolutely.
pitfall. I would be really great at teaching people hypnotherapy. But ethically, I'm not an entire college. And they need more than one person. This isn't something to be taken that lightly. Just because I could make a crap ton of money doing it, I refuse. Would I be a part of a bigger cluster of people? You know, I mean, I've given a few talks at HMI. I love to participate with them, but people's subconscious minds are near and dear to my heart, and I want to make sure that anybody that people go to is qualified to make sure that that person walks away feeling better than they did when they walked in.
Beautiful. As always, some really good knowledge you were dropping today. I want to say this, that when we started this journey of HypnoTalks, one of the things that we discussed was the reason why we're doing these is really the end result is to support people so that they get good knowledge, but then they also see you for who you be, what your gifts are.
The shark lover that I am.
And yeah, that you have a chicken, you have sharks, you have a dog.
That at HMI was professional dress. And I should be totally ashamed of myself, because that's the one area that I don't hold up what I learned there, you know.
I think that's okay. You know, we've become the context of society has become very casual. And I believe that if somebody is too dressed up, there becomes a distrust because of the casual context that we live in.
I get that. Yeah, I like people to feel relaxed and not intimidated, and ability to go, you know, I can share this. The best compliments I get are when people say, "Oh, you're down to earth. I feel like I can talk to you." That to me means a lot, because if people don't feel comfortable around me, then that limits how much I can help them.
That makes perfect sense.
So if I have to look like a complete moron to do it, I'm willing to take one for the team.
Hey, I love the color. I love sharks. Great hat too.
Hey,
I think the ensemble is phenomenal.
The hat is covering up some really unfortunate hair today, you guys. So be happy I'm wearing the hat. Please be happy I'm wearing the hat. Everyone would be traumatized if I took my hat off right now.
Well, then they would all have to come to you for some hypnotherapy.
Oh my God, right?
I get it.
Gotta rethink this. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you again. This is phenomenal. And you know what the best part about this is? Not only are we having just one HypnoTalk a week, now we have 2 HypnoTalks a week. We have one on Clubhouse every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Followed by a live HypnoTalk on YouTube every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Now, interestingly enough, we've discussed even spreading these streams out to other platforms, so stay tuned for that. I believe that this is a great service to people out there. Now, we don't just talk about hypnosis and hypnotherapy. We talk about just the healing modalities in general. And I can't think of someone more qualified than you, Janna, to talk about this stuff with. So I'm excited to hear you field lots of questions in our Clubhouse room this upcoming Saturday. And
please come, because that's my favorite thing to do. I mean, this is okay, but I still feel like I want to help somebody. And usually if one person shares, somebody else is listening and it'll help them. So even if you don't speak up, you might get some value if someone else speaks up. And on Clubhouse, we have an opportunity to do that. So you can come just hang out in the room, not say a thing. In Clubhouse, you have to raise your hand. It's like a little button. And and then we call on you and you can talk. But if you don't raise your hand, it's like attending a lecture, you're just listening. No one can see you either, so you don't even have to look good. Hell, I don't even have to look good.
You could take your hat off.
I could have terrible hat head and you guys won't even know. It's going to be great.
Amazing.
What's
Amazing.
not to like?
So
it's all audio.
yes, it is. It is all audio. However, you could change your avatar picture, you know, to see your hat with hat hair or non-hat hair. Many opportunities. So Clubhouse is down there. I put the information.
Good.
Again, if you don't have a login, hit myself or Janna up. I have tons. You have tons. We can get you on Clubhouse.
Yeah. And jump on Instagram, Janna Colasso at blah, 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 blah. I'm opening my mouth and my brains are falling out. Janna Colasso, hypnotherapist. And because then if you forget when it is, you know, just I'll post a little, don't forget, Janna Troy, blah, blah, blah. Or you can go on mechanicsofgrace.com and you can send me an email that way. Or you can go to Facebook and it's
You have a very good
Mechanics
Facebook
of Grace,
presence.
Janna Colasso, CHT.
I will spell it out here, Janna Colasso, because we all know you as the friendly hypnotherapist. So
That's right.
we may need to create a marketing brand around that.
I'm like trying to read it with my eyes like squinty.
Yes.
I'm like,
so yes, Janna. Again, it was a great time. Follow, like, subscribe.
yes.
And with that being said, I'm complete, as they say on Clubhouse.
I am complete too. I feel like I'm in a high chair though, looking down. I don't know.
Yeah?
Right now.
Huh. I don't know.
I'm never complete. I will continue to talk. Now I'm going to go talk to the children and their eyes will glaze over. Because someone needs to listen to these pearls of wisdom at all times. I guess.
And actually, somebody asked me the other day, how's the chicken? Does the chicken like warmer weather that it started to get hot?
You know, she does not prefer warm weather. She's much happier this morning when a little overcast. She's very happy with that. I've got a lot of shade in the backyard and she's got her little chicken house. And on super hot days, middle of summer, she's getting old. I let her in the house, which is a huge mess, you guys. I do not recommend having chickens in your house. It's a lot of cleanup afterward. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, you know, we got to make sure that she's staying healthy. People love the chicken.
Yeah.
So
she's the last chicken standing. We went from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2, and now she's number one chicken.
She's number one. She made it. She made it. Well, good for her.
Yeah.
Thank you again. It was awesome. Thank you out there for joining us. And we'll see you on Saturday. And on video, we'll see you on Sunday.
Yes.
Peace out, everyone.
Bye, guys.